You may wonder why I'm here. I'm probably the only one in this room that's not a resident of San Benito County, and I have no vote, but I still have a voice. And my life experience has really been around development pressures. I grew up in Carmel, and my father was in politics, but I never thought I would get into politics. And a lot of his politics was about land use. And I was probably a high school student hearing all these words about density development and clustering and things like that, so you wouldn't just have one house on every little acre of land and just, so it's just concepts. And then, lo and behold, I became a member of the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, and I spent the next 42 years of my life in elective office representing, for 6 years, Monterey County. Now, I represented Big Sur, Carmel Valley, the Highlands, which is between Carmel and Big Sur, the Point Lobos area, the city of Carmel, Pebble Beach, Pacific Grove, and Monterey. If you don't think there were a lot of development pressures, particularly in the unincorporated area of Pebble Beach, Carmel Highlands, Big Sur, Carmel Valley, and my politics was we got to rewrite general plans and master plans because this is all going to end up in sprawl, and led that effort to master plan Big Sur to do, and I really got into land use planning, and I think my forte in politics was really always in those 13 years in the legislature and I was on the Resources Committee to really emphasize support of the Coastal Commission and local organizations, local government, to empower them to have more tools to figure out visions for their communities based on sort of highest and best use. What struck me when I got into Congress and represented the area for 24 years, and members of Congress are all from districts, 435 members of Congress, and they each represent a district, and they're all proud about what they do. In the Midwest, it's all the agriculture, and Texans are about cattle and oil and stuff like that, so they all kind of brag about this stuff. And people would say, well, what do you do in your district? And I said, well, we do so many things, but I thought, we sell scenery. People come from all over the world to look at scenery. And it always hit me when I drove through this county how incredibly beautiful it is. I mean, I bring my family over here in the wintertime. As I said, I spent 2 years in Colombia, which is a beautiful country. It's really gorgeous. And I said, these hills when they're green remind me so much of what Colombia looks like. And then I got involved in really trying to help you in this county identify and get funding, because I figured, San Benito County is so rich in resources. I mean, if you start in the south, most people even know they've never been into Hydra mines before it all burned down, but I was down there trying to make it into a national historic property. If you read the early history books, I mean really early, about California development, there's a whole chapter on the Hydra mine. It was one of the big hot spots to active mine way back in the 1850s. And and then the pinnacles just became obvious that I have the power to pass legislation because only Congress can make a national park. And nobody was doing anything about it. And I thought, we'll upgrade this from a national monument to a national park. And then the whole history of this town, of Hollister. I'm just thinking when I walked in this building, I said, this is gorgeous. I wasn't here when it was a restaurant. I said, this is still where he's making more money having weddings here than I ever did serving food here. So, that somebody had the vision to build this building and then preserve it. San Benito County has so much to offer. And I think what is lacking is sort of this big vision about looking at all the little, we ought to be talking about nodes, but not nodes of development, nodes of preservation. Because this state, what we're so unique in the central part of California, this state has now almost 40 million people. The LA Basin is so huge that in alone, if you just have marketing in the LA Basin, you're in the fourth largest market in the world, just in that basin. And all the cultures that are in that basin, and all the languages, and all the stress, all the stuff that can come out of it. But guess what they don't have? They don't have any rural areas left. The Chinese are now coming here. Middle-class Chinese are growing really fast. Do you think they want to go to LA? Or they want to go to, they want to go to Hollywood, but are they going to San Diego? Or San Francisco? No, maybe San Francisco because of the Chinese heritage, but what they want to see is rural California. They got all these fancy cities in China, but what they don't have is the Yosemites and the pinnacles. And so those of us who are sort of lucky that it didn't all sprawl out here, I think have this ability to really capture our history and our culture and the families that have lived here. You know, after all, you've got, you know, Donner Party family living in this county, and it goes way, way back. I was driving over here tonight, and when I came off 156 and got on 101, I thought, you know, 101, I'm driving on this highway just a short distance up to San Benito. This highway begins on the Mexican border and goes all the way up to the Canadian border, US 101. In California, there's 58 counties in California. This Highway 101 goes through about 17 of them, about a third of all the counties in California. Of those 17 counties, none of them have designed in their general plan a bunch of nodes right along the freeway to attract economic development. I mean, where was the thinking in this? The thinking was, as I read and heard from the supervisor, well, we need revenue. Yes, you do. Your county is one of the smallest counties in population and revenue in California. And it is a struggle. But it seems to me you don't kill the goose that lays the golden egg and getting mediocre. We don't even know how much revenue studies have ever been done. And as I read the nodes, you can put just a bunch of junk in the nodes. And yeah, it's got to be specific plan, but that's permissive actually in the code. It's a very poorly written piece of law. And there are so many exceptions to it that you're going to end up with probably just more of what's really ugly along 101. So my voice was that when I got called, I said, do you want to get it? I said, you know what? When I read that, I said, that's the worst thing that I drive that 101 all the time. I don't want to have traffic it's already bad enough coming in tonight, just, you know, I'm getting right off the freeway and I'm immediately backed up past San Juan Bautista. We're on a Wednesday night. Took about 20 minutes to get into Hollister. So I think you have to defeat this measure because that opens up opportunity, and obviously the politics of defeating the measure is a politics you want to keep going on about, okay, we have said no because we don't like what you're doing, but this leads to what can we do? And there are so many people that would love helping you. The University of California, when Marina was developing after Fort Ord closed, and had a very parochial idea about sort of building the whole town into fast food stuff. He said, you know, Marina, you're the gateway to the Monterey Peninsula. I don't think we want to have that being the opening door. And I brought down the University of California's School of Planning and Architecture, where they do these charrettes. They spend a weekend interviewing people and looking around and thinking, okay, here's kind of leaving with you is ideas. Just ideas that a lot of professionals have been able to put together. This county is ripe for something like that, to get some professional help about how do we take this sort of county-wide vision. And obviously, as a mayor of a city, what you don't want is a bunch of unincorporated nodes that aren't even in the city. That, you know, you want the development where the infrastructure is, where you can. What are you going to do? Are you going to build 30 houses, each one of these nodes, or whatever it is? Those houses, they're not going to be affordable houses. Who's going to be the people who run the gas stations, because it seems like these are all going to have gas stations and fast food stores. Well, those salaries don't pay for market rate housing. You've got to have workforce housing, which is below market rate, and they're not developing that. So you're going to have a commute, just the workers in these nodes are going to have to commute in. If there are housing there and they have kids, are there going to be any schools? No. Are the buses going to have to go there? Is it big now that it costs the school district more money to have to put these buses out to these nodes to pick up kids? And that is more commute. I mean, it just does not make sense that you would want to build these nodes up for the idea that maybe we'll get some gas tax revenue. You know, gas tax revenue goes back to communities based on population. Sales tax goes back based on what a portion of the sales tax. State gets some of it, you get the other. But you want those things to be inside urban areas or spheres of influences. And Hollister has so much still undeveloped space, underutilized, that could be more effectively utilized, a little more density downtown. It would help. I mean, if you build housing and apartments around, that's what Monterey's starting to do on Alvarado Street, and it just changed the nature of Alvarado. Was dead at 6 o'clock at night. And now that they've got a bunch of, and they put, the city really required that they put in elderly housing and affordable housing, and that city's streets are now alive at night because people are living upstairs from the stores. And they're using the restaurants and using the community services there. So if you really want to build the future of San Benito County and create a revenue base, think about building these nodes where they already exist and using the underutilized spaces in San Juan Bautista and Hollister. And then, yes, maybe you'll have a little bed and breakfast hotel like you have in Big Sur, a couple of them, down in the really beautiful areas. And I'll end with this. One of my best friends in Congress was Congressman George Miller from the Contra Costa area. George and I knew our fathers were both in the state senate. So we met each other when we were about 12 years old when our fathers were trying to take us off to do some father-son bonding. And they spent all the time in the bars and we went fishing. And George and I got it, and he was in Congress for 30 years, one of the really great. I mean, he did more legislation than Kennedy did. And George was in charge of the Resources Committee in Congress. That's the whole resources of the United States, all the parks, all the Department of Interior, everything. And while I was in Congress, he said, Cynthia, his wife, and I, we're going down to Santa Barbara for the weekend. And we're going to drive through your district. And I said, George, take the back road. I said, take Highway 25 that goes down by the Pinnacles. Because he knew I was working on the Pinnacles. And I said, and then you'll end up and go over into Fort Hunter Liggett, which there's a hotel in Fort Hunter Liggett that the Army set up, and stay there. And so he came back to me in Congress. He said, Sam, I've been all over the United States. I've been in every national park. He says, this has been my responsibility. I have never seen anything as beautiful as Highway 25 in San Benito County. So, you've got this. Incredible heritage that needs to be more effectively. I think that the future is all about interpreting, so that when you go through this county, the ability, maybe even apps and stuff that can interpret, the early families and how they lived here and how the native peoples lived here, and really making this place attractive because, first of all, California began here and it hasn't been ruined. So people can really get a sense of what early California was all about and part of our heritage. If we just be the only county of the 17 that are along Highway 101 that builds these nodes, I think it's going to just give a bad message. It's like, as you drive 101, why would I want to get off here? If this is the front door, what's the rest of it look like? I don't want to even think about it. So if these hills are preserved and, and then really we do some good promotional work to get people off 101 and through here and utilize the resources that you have, the economic development of this county will be really good and strong. There are other counties to look at. Mariposa is the gateway to Yosemite. It doesn't even have a city. The Mariposa isn't a city. It's an unincorporated community. But they've really branded themselves as a gateway community. You want to be branding yourselves as a gateway to the Pinnacles. Soledad's done a pretty good job for the western side. And it's interesting, and I'll end on that Soledad built a lot of schlocky stuff, a lot of, McDonald's, and it just sort of looks like, the southern end of it looks like Las Vegas. There's so many lights and everything. It's just ugly coming off the freeway. And the mayor told me that the best thing that ever happened to Soledad was getting the Pinnacles National Park. He said, developers are coming to us. We were begging people to come here. They never wanted to come. They now want to build hotels in Soledad. They want to open restaurants and hotels. They really want to be the gateway to the national park because it's drawing so many visitors. But remember, they don't have anything on the western side. There's no camping over there. There's nothing. All you can go is up there's a parking lot and you go on trails. The eastern side, your side, has everything. Take advantage of what you know in your hearts and minds is your favorite parts of this county. And let's, after you defeat the nodes, let's build knowledge.